Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Leadership Lean In. We are leaning into the subject of leadership today just to get a little bit better. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being a part of this journey. We love leaders here at Leadership Lean In, and I shouldn't say we love leading because that sounds a little pretentious, like we love being leaders, but we love learning how to become better, leaning into the subject, and it just helps us so much. If you like and subscribe to wherever you're streaming this, hit the like button, share it. Maybe you feel comfortable sharing. We say around here, we would never ask for your feed, but unapologetically, we ask for your story. Share and let other people in on being a part of our community. We're jumping in. Episode number 202. Just had two great guests, Pastor Levi Lusko, and the great Torrin Wells. But we're jumping back in with Nate the Great. Nate the Great, you had a birthday yesterday. Happy birthday.
35.
Oh!
I feel like I'm just getting started.
35.
Yeah.
It's climbing though. It's a real number. These are real numbers.
It's a mature number.
32 is like, oh, he's still a kid. 33, it's like, oh, Scottie Pippen. 34, oh, little Barry Sanders. But 35?
35.
It's Kevin Durant, your baby.
Let's go.
It's
He's 35, yeah.
He wears number 35.
Crazy.
So you're Kevin Durant. Did you have a good birthday?
I had a great birthday.
What'd you do for your birthday?
I went to American Idol live.
Oh, live.
Yeah.
And were the singers good? Who was there? It was Kelly Clarkson? Anastasia?
Carrie Underwood is the judge.
Oh, she's a judge now. Yeah, Carrie Underwood. Big believer. Sing at the inauguration. Mic didn't work, but she still killed it.
Yeah, it was a great experience. Cool
Okay.
seeing the behind the scenes.
Yeah.
It's way better in person than it is on TV.
It is. I haven't seen it in a very long time, admittedly, but I'm a big fan. I see the clips on social media, but I haven't watched the show.
I haven't watched it since I was a kid.
Yeah.
And then our friend Izzy works there.
Yep, she runs
So
it.
I tuned in one episode. I'm bawling the whole episode.
There's a lot of worship going on now, and I'm loving it.
It's crazy.
Brandon Lake doing worship at American Idol.
I saw Jelly Roll perform.
Jelly Roll. Yesterday he performed?
He performed.
Jelly Roll, I feel like he's everywhere.
Yeah.
There's certain people I feel like in today's culture are everywhere. Morgan Wallen is everywhere.
Yep.
Jelly Roll is everywhere. Post Malone is, it feels like performing
They're going to
every
tour
day.
together.
Yeah, I saw that. They're
The Rock was there.
Oh, I love The Rock.
Jelly Roll and The Rock. Ryan Seacrest did the rock and roll. This whole
Oh,
thing.
that's a good one.
But the most impressive thing was Ryan Seacrest.
Oh, gosh. Professional. Bona fide, certified.
We talking to mics and watching
Professional.
this guy. Doesn't miss a beat. No mistakes the whole time.
Assassin.
Just amazing.
Classy. Great. Shout out to Tanya Rad, who's been on Ryan's show forever.
Yeah.
But man, that guy is good at his job.
Mm-hmm.
I was on Ryan Seacrest one morning through Tanya. They called me and he asked me a question. I don't think I did that good of a job. I got to be honest. I was in my car. Shouldn't have been on Bluetooth. I regret it. And I forget what he's asking me, like, why are all these people coming to church and da-da-da-da. And I don't think I matched his level of greatness. That man is good at his job.
Incredible.
Insane.
Yeah, iconic.
Yeah. So are you going to try and be a contestant next season?
I've been warming up my vocals.
You're good.
Yeah.
Well, you're just a singer that tries.
Okay.
All right, let's jump in. Okay, hit me with the sauce this week.
We have a handful of questions here.
Okay.
And I like these questions because I'm curious to hear your response. Okay. Here's the first one. What's something you wish more leaders understood about leadership that keeps people away from it?
Wow. That's a great question.
I can rephrase it if you want. It sounds.
No, I think people stay away from it because they don't want the burden or responsibility of it. I think that the weight of it, of the criticism or the weight or the pressure, the intensity of the schedule, I think people stay away from it because they feel like it's too much.
Yeah.
I'd rather, it's the whole thing John Maxwell says, the more responsibility I have, the less rights I have. If I grow in responsibility, I lose out on having the right to take a weekend, having the right to spend whatever I want to spend or post whatever I want to post, or, people are watching my life with scrutiny. They're watching it with expectation. And I think people don't understand the benefit of the weight. I always think that the burden is a blessing. When you're a leader, you're under immense scrutiny, but you're the privilege, the opportunity to help people, serve people.
There it is.
Make people's lives better, easier. To take that phone call, to go to that hospital, to take that coffee, to help someone, to elevate somebody's life, to lift their lid, to make their life better. What is better than that?
Yeah, I feel like sometimes I have to try to sell people to live up.
Yeah, so you're trying to tell me that brunch is better than that. You're trying to tell me that the weekend getaway is better than, what's better than refreshing someone, helping someone get to the next level, helping someone get untangled from their bitterness. To be used as an instrument or vessel is, to me, the greatest thrill or victory in life. So I think people avoid it because of the weight. I think it's the weight that is the blessing.
Do you think that do you think you'd still make that decision today if you weren't healthy?
No. I think that,
Like, what was that switch for you that was like,
I think, it's hard. It's why I'm going to use a dumb illustration, but it's why I like ironing so much.
I didn't know this about you.
I iron so much, and I love to iron because it's the only thing I can do that I can see my results instantly. Leadership is this thing where I do stuff and I don't see results for a long time. Even if I do the coffee or I have the meeting or I do the conversation or I preach 4 times, I don't see the results right away. So leading is a slow burn. Shout out to Don Cherie. Pastor Don Cherie. Leading is a investment into the future. So I won't see the return on my investment. It's like my investment portfolio today, if I can be honest. I got a lot out there and a lot of companies that I hope will pay off, but we're going to see. Who knows? I'm not looking for a quick fix. There is no quick fix in leadership. It's investment. It's slow. And Jesus models this, doesn't he? Spends 3 years with a bunch of knuckleheads that in the end turn on them. What?
Yeah.
It's an investment. It's slow. And so, but I think to be healthy is the only way that you can stay in this line of work. Otherwise, you get resentful, disappointed. You get your eyes on the wrong stuff.
Yeah, I love that you bring up Jesus, and his leadership.
Yeah.
If you were to judge Jesus' leadership, he wouldn't have had the vast majority, 99.9 continuing % of the effect of his leadership was after he was gone.
That's right.
Do you find that the success of leadership isn't just in the legacy that you leave behind, but for you becoming, like, is there a certain part of that drive that is just you being the best you?
Yeah, it's so funny. I was talking to my father-in-law yesterday, and he was telling me, he's a part of a organization, MFI, Ministry Fellowship International, and Pastor Frank Damasio, who has been the chairman of that, just recently passed away. He's such a hero in the faith, such a blessing to the body of Christ, and a hero, and impacted my life so tremendously. I'm so forever indebted and thankful to Pastor Frank, who was a voice in my life and I heard from and talked to so much for so many years. And now here they are in the aftermath in this organization. And he was talking to me about just the heart to care about other churches, care about other people. And he said one time this guy who was like a mentor to him, he was dropping him off at his hotel, and they were talking about, ministry and pastors and, just messes and stuff. And my father-in-law says, that's why I'm so thankful. I just keep my head down. I just worry about my own church. And this older gentleman put his hand on my father-in-law's shoulder and said, yeah, way to go, Bob. Way to just only care about yourself. And they laughed. And he thought, that was a zinger. The selfish part of us wants to only care about us, wants to only be involved in us. But I think the story of our success is not in what we sit in, it's in what we send out. And that's why Jesus was so great,
Wow.
is that he was not selfish. He had all these revelations, all these understanding, all this wisdom, all this authority. And did he keep it to himself? He cared enough to give it to 12 and then 70 and then 120 and then we're in the fruit of that today. So leadership to me is not in the strength of what I can do and how I can talk or what I can accomplish. It's in what can I give away and empower. And I might not see the result of that for 5 years, 10 years. That's okay. At least I know I was generous enough and big enough to send it out.
Yeah. You know, a phrase I've been hearing you say for the past few years is, I don't want a platform. I want to become a platform.
Right. And that's maturation. You know, I think when you're younger, there is this desire to have a platform. I would love to have a voice, love to have a mic, love to have opportunity, love to get invited. I want to have a platform, want to have a following. That's a part of that young ambition. I think when you get older, you're like, I want to be a platform. Yeah. I want to be, you know, what did they say about Oprah? She's a kingmaker. They say that about Stephen Furtick. He's a kingmaker. If you step on his stage, that could change your life. I've watched people step on that stage elevation, which he has built and with his team, and you step on that, it will. So he doesn't just have a platform, he is a platform. And that to me is maturity in leadership.
Now that Winston is a little bit older, do you start to feel that way about your kids becoming a platform for them?
Oh man, yeah. You think about the weird life that they live in a really good way. You know, I think when I say weird life, the life of a
leader,
of a leader, a pastor, and probably the same. You know, let me just say this. Most entrepreneurs' kids are living a weird life, a different life. Yeah. If your dad owns a restaurant, you working at that restaurant.
Yep.
I went and got flowers for Julie at the flower market downtown LA on Saturday on our way home from I Love My City. And the kids that were ringing me up were probably 8 and 10. You know, they're working the cash register for mom and dad. So that's not a norm. All the other kids are at baseball. Mm-hmm. So, but if your mom and dad own a flower shop, you work in that thing.
Yep.
So I say that weird life as in they've been, you know, thrusted into this thing as I was, and I'm very thankful for that. But I think about, you know, the desire to not put pressure on them to a fixed position or title, but I make no apologies of seeding into their life and their spirit that they're leaders.
Yeah.
So I constantly speak to the leader that they are.
The character.
You're a leader. Hey, we're just today as you go to school, I pray this over them. You're a leader, not a follower. What does that mean, boys? I'll ask them, what does a leader do? Leaders eat last. Leaders defend those that can't defend themselves. Training them to think in terms of leadership. If they choose my profession, that's their business and really ultimately God's business. But at least they are thinking like a leader.
Yeah. Do you want them to choose your profession?
I don't know. No, I don't know. You know,
indifferent.
All of that is, I think, such a sovereign thing that I don't really get to choose that. I really feel that way. I don't really get to choose that.
That's good.
There's a sovereignty component to every person's life that I really pray every night God's will be done in their life, because I really want, if God wants them to be a doctor, lawyer, teacher, coach, whatever that is, I want, and I say that to Julia, you know, I talked to Julia about this. We talk as a couple. I want God's best for you, what God's designed you to do, what God's will is. Even now, 16 years into marriage, I'm saying that to Julia today. What did God design you to do? How do I fan that into flame?
I feel like you just described leadership in a nutshell. The way you just talked about your kids. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's so good.
And I do think for all of us, we need to always cook in and bake in the sovereignty component. That a lot of this, if you could choose to do something else, you would.
Yeah.
But wherever you're doing, for every leader that's listening, whether you're a coach, a teacher, an entrepreneur, whatever you're doing right now, if you could do something, you probably would.
Yeah.
You probably would go do something else. But you know, I think there's a arrested. I like that word, arrested. I'm called. I've been planted here, and God wants me to do this.
What's a leadership risk that you took that you were thankful for this last year? And then we're going to go the other way. What's a risk you wish you would have taken?
Well, I'm always thankful anytime I risk safety and comfort to confront things. Like, oh, I just always believe that, you make the bed you lie in, or you live in the world that you tolerate. So you have to always ask yourself as a leader, what are you willing to tolerate? So if you see dysfunction, if you see attitude, if you see something that's funky or fishy or smelly, if you see something that doesn't align with your vision, values, or standards, you have to address it. Mm-hmm. So I'm always thankful that today I'm not living in things that I didn't want to tolerate.
Wow.
I think that's very important. And I think that you need to be a dog on your culture, a dog on what you would allow, or what, when you culture is that thing, when you see it, celebrate it. When you don't see it, or you see the opposite, you must confront. And then I would say I'm only regretful on not empowering or taking a bigger risk on others sooner. What I mean by that is, man, I wish I could have gotten them in that seat sooner. I wish I could have set them up for success better. I wish, because everything about, they said, I heard this story about Lorne Michaels, Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
And they said Lorne Michaels in the beginning, when Saturday Night Live started, he was really upset because the talent kept leaving. Mm. And so he'd get them on this platform, and they would do really well, and then they leave for movies or whatever. And he really upset. And then someone said, you need to think of yourself as a GM that's developing talent. And all you are is you're developing talent. And so if you see yourself as a talent developer, you can develop talent. You can change their life, but it will change your life too.
Wow.
And I think that's a great way to look at life, is that all you're doing is developing talent and then releasing, develop. It's like you've been living on your own. We've been leading together for 2 decades, almost, right? But you've been on your own for 17, 18 years. I'm around you, but you live in your own eco. You live in your own world. You lead your own people. You don't. Does that make sense? So there was a season of development that's very important, but then it's just you run.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's fun. It's just, how do you let people go? There's people, 3-4 people that come to mind right now. It's like, I'll just let them run, let them go. They're good. Mm. What do we all desire? This is so true about leadership. What do we all desire? Crazy freedom, wild accountability.
These are the exact opposite.
These are constantly at conflict.
Yeah.
The more freedom I get, the more accountability I have. So you tell me when you're just off on your own running.
Yep.
Does that make sense? So if you're like stuck and feeling like frustrated, it's like, no, the rest of your life is you get allotted a lot of freedom, and the more freedom I have, the more accountability I must be. So I live with more accountability today than I ever have in the history of my life at 45 years of age.
Wow.
I've never been more accountable. So I have freedom, right? Today I could not come to the office. I could spend whatever I want. I could do whatever I want. But there's no way I could do whatever I want.
Yeah.
So that is leadership. It's like, I've got these freedoms, and because I have these freedoms, I gladly choose to be accountable. Get humble, get thankful, become extremely accountable. Why? Because you know how fast that could go away? Here today, gone tomorrow. So what preserves you? You worked all those years and paid all that price to get here. And now that you're here, you're frustrated with accountability? Think about it. Think about how dumb that is. You worked hard to get free so you could be free? No. This is even going back to our theology. Paul goes, I am free. I can become, I can do whatever. And because I am, I make myself a slave. Think about it.
Yep.
So that's leadership. Leadership to me is the higher I go and the more influence I get and the more freedom I have, the more I gladly choose accountability.